make such a difference to the lives of so many, then each of us can do our part. Surely, if his service in this story can forever shape America's story, then our collective service can shape the destiny of the Amazuchi Foundation. At the very least, his living example calls each of us to try. Without further ado, I'd like to welcome Honorable Congressman Pete Stark to the stage.
Hard to get here. Oh, thank you. And thank all of you for being here tonight. I think that it was planned some time ago that this would be a continuation of unity, and we would talk about how we would bring our community together by finding a way to provide medical care to every resident, and I use that word advisedly, it's a goal of mine. But I'd like to just digress a moment, because I share Jivan's concern about, in the kindest words I can think, of the shysters, of the supplemental products that are peddled to people without the benefit of science or without the benefit of the federal FDA finding that their proof is reasonable for us. And I shudder to think of all the young children in first grade and second grade. I have two in first grade, who are getting Ritalin and other kinds of altering drugs because of some careless diagnosis that it may make it easier to teach them, when perhaps a little kindness and concern will get through the kids who are anxious and who are troublesome. My mother, bless her, spent a long time keeping my brother and me out of reform school and in Lincoln Grammar School. And she didn't do that with the use of Ritalin because it wasn't there. And so I share that concern. And I hope that we will be able to find in the future, with the help of then President Obama, a way find that every child and every family in this country has high quality medical care without regard to their ability to pay. And that we understand that there are ethnic differences, there are language differences that prohibit people from getting the kind of medical care they need. So it's with that in mind that I'd like to put a challenge to all of you tonight. I think with one exception, let me go back. The Indo-American community in Fremont is famous in Congress for helping many of my colleagues, and thank you very much, raise money. The number of congressmen who come through Fremont to raise money in the Indo-American community is legion. And I've refrained from doing that. And I refrain from doing that because we serve this community, and we serve it often with issues of immigration, issues that are very important, and I want no question that we serve this community without regard to fundraising. So I have avoided coming and asking for political contributions until tonight. And tonight I'm going to ask you, those of you who would support me politically or support Obama politically, to think again and to send a contribution to the foundation honoring Amit. And that would be the greatest favor you could do for me. And I hope that you will all consider that a contribution to me, and I'll pledge to continue to try and represent you as well as I can. But that would be a great honor. And because they're much more important people, and Mary has been here patiently listening to me. And she does wonderful things for healthcare in the state assembly, but we have just a brief resolution, and I won't trouble you, but it honors it. We're giving it to the Zucchi family. It's in the congressional record. It's in honor, in the memory of me, and the best thing we can do is all contribute to this foundation, which we think will help to bring together and benefit the children of our community. So thank you for being here. I'm going to call on each one of you to contribute. Gus, you owe me some money. I think you were going to contribute last year. I want to see that your check is in there. All right? And Steve, come on, if you too, and Mayor Wasserman, each of you, instead of giving all that money you were going to give Scott Haggard, he was going to give me thousands of dollars, I know, give it to this founder. Who else is around here that was going to give? Alberto, my goodness, the biggest fundraiser in the community, Alberto, into the foundation. I want to see your check. Thank you all. Anybody here from the important person here? Bless you.
Congressman and I are trying to shorten the schedule for you this evening, so we sort of made up this new program here. Senator Leland is with us tonight, and I would actually like to have our own assembly member, Alberto Tarico, to come up. As many of you know, he was recently announced as a majority leader for the assembly, and let me tell you, that's the second most highest and the most important job in the whole state. So let's welcome, and let's give it up for Alberto Tarico. Come on.
Good evening. Thank you very much. I'm honored to be here back in my hometown. Always a pleasure and honor. I want to echo what something Congressman Stark said, which is this is a tremendously diverse community, and particularly the Indo-American community is such an active and involved player. But the theme of tonight is really, I think, my greatest pride to represent this district, because I think it's the most diverse legislative district in the country. Even looking around this room, you can see that people from every corner of the world. And I want to just pay tribute to the Zucchi family for starting this, for bringing out of this tremendous tragedy something positive for all of us to think about, and for the legacy of your brother and your son. And of course, I will match whatever Congressman Stark whatever Congressman Stark pledges to the foundation, I will match. Thank you very much.
It's really my distinct honor to be here. While I am across the bay, Mary and Alberto are very important to me, because they are, in fact, the younger generation of leadership in our state legislature, and the more that I can get them to do, the less that I have to do. So every time they're here, I want them to do the work. But let me just say that as a child psychologist, I am deeply, deeply disturbed by some of the things that are going on with our children these days. The fact that they are so vulnerable, that they are so vulnerable to so many different influences, that we in the state legislature need to do even more. Jivan invited me here, and I thought that this was just going to be an easy dinner, and all of a sudden he brings out an issue that really requires a lot of our consideration in the state legislature. There are, in fact, more and more supplements of some type. They argue that they are food-based and therefore run under the radar of FDA. They are not, in fact, regulated. They are, in fact, rather plentiful throughout the state of California and other states. And so it is incumbent upon us, because it is coming. Those products are coming from China, they are coming from Korea, they are coming from all other kinds of states and countries throughout the world, and they are, in fact, landing here in California. And it is incumbent upon all of us, both Mary, Alberto, and myself, to do something extra, to look at those rules and regulations, to identify whether or not, in fact, we need to increase those kinds of oversight at the state level. Because if not, then we are, in fact, not taking care of our children. We are, in fact, codependent on that kind of exposure to our children. And so, Jivan, we're going to work with you and with all of you to ensure that we take care and protect our children even more. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Congressman Stark. Thank you, Alberto. Thank you, Mary. And thank you, Dr. Lee. Sounds like we're already off to a great start. If I could just briefly introduce one of Ahmed's close friends. Sharon, if you could please come up, we'd really appreciate it. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sharon Denoa. I don't hold any office. I have a little cubicle in the Crime Research Organization. But I did want to speak briefly